Welcome back to another episode of Uncorked. This is half mailbag, half travel advice, one might say. So I'm here today on my sister's back porch. Thank you, Aran and Matt, for welcoming me into your home to film this because, I don't know, I just felt like I needed a change of scenery. So I'm fresh off a trip to Europe. I actually got back last night after what felt like a 48-hour travel day, or 2 days. And I want to talk about our vacation. It was incredible. It's my dad and his twin brother's 60th birthday this year. So we went on a little trip to celebrate. And we went to London and Ireland, and it was incredible. So I'm going to tell you all my favorite things about the trip, answer some questions that y'all asked, and tell a few funny stories about some things that happened while we were there. So the way that we did it was we flew into London, and we spent, I think, 3 days there. And then we went to Ireland for, I don't know how many days we were in each place. It feels like all a blur. It's all mixing together. But we went from London to Ireland, back to London. So I'm going to go in chronological order of that. So the first bit will be about London, and then I'll talk about our time in Ireland, and then back to London. Because we did stay in two different places, or I guess areas of London, the 2 times we were there. So we landed in London at 8 a.m., and this was after a 8-hour flight. So we flew through the night, landed at 8 a.m. and could not get into the house the Airbnb house, whatever you want to call it, that we were staying in until 3. So we were fresh off the flight. They were kind enough to let us put our bags inside. So we went, put our bags inside. And then we had a full day, fresh off the plane. So we just kind of toured around, figured out how to work the train system, tube system, and went and saw all of the sites, the Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, the London Eye. We went and saw all of those things, which are beautiful. I personally, I'm not a big history person. I don't like tours that much, or I don't love tours. I can go on something that my aunt began to call an ADHD tour. I'll look at this, that, and the other, and then I'm out. I don't want a 45-minute guided history lesson. That's just me. Some people like that. That's just not my style. So we don't do a ton of that. We did a few tours, but we don't do a ton of that when we're on trips because that's not all of us love that. So that's what we did the first day. And then we saw the Tower Bridge. And something that I actually learned about the Tower Bridge is that everyone always talks about the London Bridge, but the big, beautiful one that you've probably seen a million pictures of isn't actually the London Bridge. It's Tower Bridge. And my dad was telling me a funny story about a guy who was wanting to buy London Bridge because he thought it was Tower Bridge, and he had his people. He had a bunch of money and just wanted to buy it, so he went and got some people that I guess work for him to purchase it for him, pick it up, and was like, make sure that you take good care of the tower parts. Like, did y'all get those? Keep them safe, whatever. And they were like, tower parts? What are you talking about? And he actually bought the real London Bridge, not Tower Bridge, whatever. That's a side note, and I probably didn't even get that story right. But one of the coolest things about London to me was that they have Uber boats. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw a video that I posted, but you use it like an Uber, but it's a boat and it takes you down the Time River, I think is what it's called. But you can hop from city to city on a boat. It is a massive boat. I guess it's kind of like a ferry, but it's super nice on the inside. There's a full bar. They have snacks. They have some food. They have, I can't remember if they had liquor drinks or not. I wasn't drinking that, but I had a few beers. I'm pretty sure they have wine, but it was beautiful. I loved it. You can sit outside, inside. It's great. And I was just thinking about if I lived there and my friends and I went out in one town and then took that home, it would be awesome. I wish that we had those in Birmingham, but I don't think that the Cahaba River would handle a Uber boat very well. So we actually took the Uber boat to Greenwich. I'm pretty sure is how they pronounce it. And I loved that town. There was a market. I'm pretty sure it was just called the Greenwich Market. And it was covered, but it was outside. So it was just under a little like pavilion type thing. And there was just a ton of stuff in there. I actually found the cutest little cocktail bar. And I'll insert pictures of all of this stuff. But it was the cutest little cocktail bar. But they have shops, with T-shirts. There were some cute clothes, artwork, little knickknacks, but that was very cool. And then we just walked up and down the streets there, and there were shops, restaurants. We got lunch, and it's all by the water. There's also some historical things you can do there. There's a boat. I can't remember what it was called that my dad and brother went on, and they were able to go inside that and tour that while we just shopped around, which they enjoyed. And then we also had some mishaps at our Airbnb. So this is where I'll tell one quick, short little story. But a lot of things in Europe are very small. I learned that when we went to Italy a few years ago. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he said they think that Americans waste so much space with, having bigger houses and all of that. But also they all live, or where we were staying, they live in cities. And everyone knows how a city is. You can't have a luscious backyard. So they are living in flats or, more of like apartments or townhomes, which aren't as big as a standalone house. So the showers, the bathrooms, everything's just very small in comparison to what we're used to here in the United States. So one of the showers, my poor mom, I hope you don't care that I'm telling this story, but she slipped. It was a bathtub. It was like I guess you would compare it to like one of those clawfoot bathtubs, but it just had a shower curtain around it. So it was a bathtub that had a shower head, basically. And it's a pretty high step to get into it. So my poor mother slipped and had a massive bruise on her butt from slipping. And the next morning she was like, did anyone hear me fall last night? I kind of yelled. I didn't hear it, but so she fell. The next day, my dad slips and pulls the shower curtain down. So the shower curtain is just completely disconnected from he pulled it out of the ceiling because he tried to catch himself when he slipped. I think he caught himself, but the shower curtain was disconnected. So that happened. I also flooded the bathroom because the shower door didn't go all the way to the ground. So I don't really know what the purpose of it was. I didn't realize that. So I stepped out, the bath mat soaking wet. So we left our mark on the first Airbnb that we stayed in. We also went to the Chelsea area. There was a soccer game that night. We didn't go to the game, but we just went to one of the bars that a lot of fans watch the game at to immerse ourselves in the environment. And after that, I can't remember what the name of the bar was, but it was packed. The fans were very into the game. It was an awesome atmosphere to be in. And then after that, we went to this amazing Italian restaurant. It was, I don't want to say hole in the wall, but it was very small. The food was incredible. It's called Al Santo, Alsanto. And the food was amazing. The owner, I don't know if he owned it or was just the manager, but he was incredibly nice. So I highly recommend that. So the next day we went to Ireland. Someone on the flight on the way there from London to Ireland cracked hard-boiled eggs. The people sitting directly behind me. I felt like a padding on the side of my seat. And I turned around. The couple behind me thought that it was appropriate to eat hard-boiled eggs on a plane. That deserves immediate jail time. And then also, if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen me rant about people standing up and sprinting to the front of the plane right when flights end. So after they suffocated me with the smell of hard-boiled eggs on the plane, they then get up and sprint to the front of the plane, which I was triggered. I was very triggered. But that was our flight. It was probably an hour flight, maybe a little longer, a little shorter, but it wasn't bad at all. We stayed in Galway when we were there, and my brother-in-law, Matt, shout out Matt, I think that I see him through the window right now, but he compared it to a cleaner Bourbon Street. And I thought that was a great comparison. It's basically just roads. It's like a spider web almost. And all of these roads, there's like a center, and then all these roads just kind of spread off of it. And there's flags hanging across the walkways over the streets. And it's just literally streets and streets of shops, restaurants, pubs, bars. And it was very fun to just walk around. You can find whatever you want to eat. There's obviously like souvenir shops, gift stores. There's also normal stores. And I loved where we stayed. It was very fun and very different environment. I didn't really know what to expect in Ireland, but that's where we stayed. And then the first day that we were there, we took a ferry to the Aran Islands and the cliffs of Mohr. And it was when we were on the Aran Islands, we were like, we should rent some bikes and just tour around. I got in a bike accident. I was fine. This is also after I broke my bike. Matt, again, shout out Matt, had grease all over his hands. I guess I changed gears when I wasn't supposed to, and the bike just was not operating how it was supposed to. So he fixed it. Thank you, Matt. And then I got into a wreck. Oh, so no. Let me backtrack. So then my dad, it was still like, it was in a higher gear, and I was afraid to change it because I was scared I was going to break it again. So I was pedaling like up these hills. It's very hilly. And I was trying to pedal up these hills, and I literally couldn't do it because the gear was so high. My legs were burning. I was dripping sweat. And my dad was like, let me just switch with you, and then we can try and figure out how to change this, but just take mine. So as you can imagine, the men's bike is bigger than the woman's bike, or taller. So I don't want to say flying down this hill, but I'm moving down this hill at a rapid pace. And my family's behind me at this point. In Europe, they drive on the left side of the road. So you're supposed to stay on the left side of the road. So I see this bus. I'm driving down this hill. I see this bus. It looked like a tour bus coming from a little ways ahead around a corner. But there was a fork in the road. So I was like, I don't know if we're supposed to go left or right. So I'm just going to pull over. There was a little cove looking thing on the right side of the road. I'm just going to pull over here so that I can stop there and wait, because the roads are very narrow. And I was going to stop and wait for my family to figure out which way I was supposed to go. So this bus is moving a lot faster than I thought it was. And I am moving across the road. And this is a 1-lane road. And on both sides are these little brick, I guess, kind of cement looking walls. And I thought that I could make it. I could not make it. So the driver of the bus is like halfway laughing, and I'm trying to tell him like, I'm sorry, while also trying not to flip over this wall. And I was trying to stop, but I'm like kind of losing control. The roads are so narrow. So I'm trying to like get as close to the other side as I can. I'm not making it to the cove. So I'm trying to like just put my feet on the ground. I was like, I just need to plant my feet on the ground and stop where I am. But I can't do that because the bike is too tall, because I'm on my dad's bike. So I am like out of control. I'm just wobbling. My legs are flying everywhere. And my whole family is just at the top of the hill behind me, watching this happen, all like screaming at me. I can't stop. So I like just topple over, and then I got scared. The man ends up stopping, but if he was moving, like my feet were on the ground, I was like, this man's about to run over my foot. It would have been my fault, but I thought that my foot was about to get run over by a tour bus. And so I was like, I'm either going to flip over this little wall or I'm going to hit the bus. So I just kind of like turned into, I just like bumped into it. It wasn't bad. I actually have a bruise right here if you can see it, but it wasn't bad. It was just funny. And I think that my sister and my mom were just about peeing their pants because they were laughing so hard. But I hadn't ridden a bike in quite a while, so I guess I kind of forgot how to do it, and I just lost control. The roads are narrow. I was going down a hill. I was in Ireland. I didn't know what was going on. There were sheep and animals everywhere. I was distracted, but I was fine. The bus driver laughed. I'm glad he didn't yell at me, but that happened. And then we did a little hike up the cliffs of Mohr, and they were beautiful. I kept thinking about how pretty a wedding would be up there. Every single guest would have to hike in wedding attire, which probably wouldn't be ideal, but it was so pretty. It was crazy. And I'm sure you've seen pictures of those online, but it's insane. And the pictures were phenomenal. It was very cool to see in person. We went to, I can't remember if this was that same night, but while we were there, this was just in the little downtown Galway area. I got the best pizza that I might have ever had in my life. But it's called FREDDYS. And it was we just saw it on the road and popped in. We had tried to go to a place across the street, and it was too long of a wait because we had a group of 10. So it was hard for us to just walk in places. And so we found this little pizza place, and the pizza was amazing. I literally woke up at like 5 o'clock the next morning thinking about it. I think that I texted my friends, and I was like, I texted my sister, and I was like, I just woke up starving thinking about this pizza because it was so good. We had this tour bus driver, or I guess we just rented a car with a driver to take us around to like the sites that we wanted to see. And our driver's name was Tommy, or we think now that his name might actually just be Tom, but we were accidentally calling him Tommy the entire time. But he was the best, and I love him dearly. And we had him 2 days. We had him Wednesday and Friday. And he took us to I'm pretty sure it's called the Ashford Castle, where Rory McIlroy got married. R.I.P. to that marriage. But beautiful. We drove along Sky Highway. I'm pretty sure, again, I don't know if I'm getting all these names exactly correct, but it was just along the water, the coast of the Atlantic. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I didn't realize, and there's sheep everywhere. There's literally, like, the pictures that you see of just, like, the green, hilly areas with sheep frolicking around. That's what it is. And the little ones were so cute. I wanted to go pick one up. But we did that. We hiked Diamond Hill. It should be called Diamond Mountain because it was a mountain. We didn't do the full hike, but we just drove around to all the little, I'm pretty sure they call them villages. And we just stopped where we wanted to stop, saw what we wanted to see. But the view from the top of that was also incredible because you're in these grassy hills, and then there's water when you get to higher elevations or towns that are on the water. And there's a lot of little fly fishing villages around there. And my favorite thing about Tommy was he would call guys fella. That was in his little Irish accent. And oh my God, he was the best. The next day, my aunt, my cousin, and I attempted to build our own Ireland bar crawl. My dad, my uncle, like the whole rest of my family was with us for some parts. I think that they didn't really want to participate that much, but we just hopped around pubs and got a drink. We were just seeing the sights, drinking some drinks, having a good time on vacation. And the music. So there was the first night that we were there, we went to this pub, and I'm pretty sure it was a 4-person band. My aunt's family's from Ireland, so she really wanted to see a fiddle. And the music was actually so fun. I didn't know if I was going to like Irish music, but it was very, it was upbeat. It energized me. I also flipped out of a chair. I'm all over the place, but this is the ADHD tour of an episode. But my sister and I were sharing a chair. The people there are so friendly. They're so friendly. And so we approached this couple when we went into this bar, me, my aunt, my cousin, and my sister. And we were like, hey, do y'all mind if we sit at this table with you? Because it was only 2 of them, and it was a big table, and the place was packed. And they're like, no, come on, sit down. So me and my sister are sharing this chair. She sees her husband walk in, and the chair was unstable to begin with. So she stands up to get him because he walked past us. He didn't see us. And I literally, because I'm sitting on this edge, she's sitting on this edge. She stands up. The chair flips. I hit the ground, and everyone in the bar was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, oh, I'm fine. It was just like, I'm not hammered flipping out of chairs. We just got a little off balance, and it's okay. And the people were so concerned. This was the same day that I got in the bike crash, and my aunt turned around to the table and she was like, guys, she's fine. She's already been hit by a bus today, so this is nothing. And I was just like, I was causing a scene. I was really just causing a scene. And then our last day there, we left kind of early and packed all of our stuff up, and then we were just touring around all the little villages again with Tommy. And our bus actually broke down. My mom noticed. And this is nothing on the tour. Tommy was amazing. He did nothing wrong. This was just a freak accident. We were not mad. But my mom noticed when we were driving this big red flashing alert sign on the dashboard. And we got out and we were like, hey, is everything okay with the car? And poor Tommy started panicking a little. And he was like, I have to call the owner. I have to call the owner. And some sort of belt was literally just hanging under the bus that is near the engine, like under the hood of the car. And my dad and my uncle were like, we're not going to make it to the next town. Like, this really probably isn't that safe for us to be driving on these narrow, hilly roads. We need to just stop and wait. So poor Tommy was so stressed out, and he felt so bad. And he was like, this has never happened to me before. And we were fine. We just kind of hung out for a little while. We got a ride. They took us to the airport. But Ireland, people were so nice. I didn't have a meal I disliked. The atmosphere of downtown, where did we say, Galway, was so fun, upbeat, lively, music, incredible, bar scene, amazing. We didn't really shop there. I don't know that that's necessarily the place that you would go to shop, so I can't say much about shopping if you would want to go there to shop, which I don't think that that's a reason that people would vacation there. But I loved it. I didn't know what to expect, but I loved it. I also had the best cocktail that I have ever had in my life. The first stop of our Ireland pub crawl. And it was a elderflower something, but I think that I could have drank 15 of them. They were delicious. But that was our Ireland trip. And I would 100% go back. Or, yeah, Ireland. My brain's everywhere right now. I'm also jet lagged because my body clock is thinking that it's 12:30 at night or in the morning. So, excuse me. But that was our Ireland trip. It was amazing, and I recommend it. Also, if you have questions about more in-depth or detailed things that we did, please let me know in the comments, or you can send me a DM on social media and I'll answer the questions, because this is kind of a brief overview. But that was our last day in Ireland. The bus broke. We got a new one. We got to the airport and we went back to London for our last 5 days, I believe. So our first day back in London was a little more educational, I would say. We went to the Churchhill War Rooms, which you could probably spend an entire day in there if you want to. It's a tour. So I don't know if this is the only option, but what we did was you have a little iPhone looking thing, iPod throwback, and headphones, and you click, there's a number on the wall, and you click a number and it will read you the information about where you are. And then there's a big room with a bunch of artifacts and, pictures, clothes, and on little mannequins and cases and stuff. And you could literally stay in there for 5 hours if you wanted to. I took the fast track that day just because I got my dose of history lessons and then I was kind of done. But we did the Churchill War Rooms, a tour of the London Tower, which was so morbid. It was really cool, but very morbid. We saw the stones. What's it called? Oh, I wish my sister was here. It was the crowns of the royal family and all of that, which was very cool to see. That was actually something that I really enjoyed. But the tour was, they talk about decapitating a bunch of people, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was pretty interesting, very gruesome, but it was cool. And all the buildings are super pretty. And it's all on the water. It's right by Tower Bridge, obviously, the London Tower. And then Windsor Castle. This wasn't the same day. This was a different day. But the Windsor Castle was amazing. We also did a tour of that, but it was the same type of thing. You just sort of walk through what you want to walk through. And then you go through, I think it's called the apartments, but you can walk through part of the inside of the castle. It's also an awesome city. I didn't realize that there was a little, I guess, village around there, but there's shopping, there's food, there's coffee shops, bakeries, restaurants, all of that. And they have there was a Zara there. There was a bunch of normal boutique type stores in that area as well. So we loved Windsor and wished that we could have stayed longer. But when we left there, we went to all the Cotswolds. I think, to my understanding, it's a little cluster of villages. And there's a bunch of them there's one that's the Venice of Ireland, or of London, they call it. But it's just a bunch of tiny little villages, and they're all very quaint, cute, have little shops, little restaurants and stuff like that. And we went to this one bar on Stow-On-The-Wold. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm looking at notes also. But there was this bar, and it was called The Sheep, I believe. And there were these little huts that you could sit in outside. It was so cute. They had live music. They had a little fire pit going. You could eat there. We didn't eat there. We just had a drink before we left. But we just basically spent that day touring around a bunch of different little cities. My favorite, I think it was my favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite because it's all so different. London and Ireland are very different. And then everywhere that we went in London and in Ireland also had very different vibes to them. But Notting Hill, it is the place that you see all the pictures of with the colored houses. It has a huge market. It's basically a street, and one side of the street's filled with just little market tent things where you can buy. I mean, there's jewelry, there's watches, there's bags, there's scarves, there's hats, there's whatever. So we spent the first part of the afternoon there, and it's beautiful. The colored houses are something that I really, really wanted to see when we were in Europe. I saw them. It was beautiful. It was awesome. And it's just, I just loved that town a lot. So I would definitely make time to go there if you can. My mom found this place. It's right off of Oxford Street, which is where all of the best shopping is. It's basically 2 miles long of every store under the sun. I'm pretty sure there are 11 Zara stores within 6 miles. It's insane. But if you want to shop, Oxford Street is where you go. We spent a decent amount of time there. I got my shopping fix, but it is a little bit chaotic. But there's a food mall. I think that's what those are called. I guess a food hall, food mall, food court type thing. But it's in an old church. So it is the church building, but there's any type of food that you could want in there. There was also a wine bar, a gin cocktail bar, a craft beer little area, but you could get steak, you could get Thai food, you could get pizza, you could get Italian, you could get whatever you wanted. And that was it was just cool being in there. You could get whatever type of food you wanted, whatever type of drink, but it was also just like cool to sit around. I'm pretty sure there was also dessert. There was a little gift shop. There was a cocktail bar in the basement. And then there was also a rooftop little area. So that is something that I would highly recommend because it's unlike anything that I had ever seen before. It was very unique, different, and the food was incredible. I got pasta, but everyone that was with us, I'm pretty sure, liked their meal, and we all got a variety of things. So if you have a picky eater, you can go to this old church. It's called Mercator Mayfair, I believe. And if you have a family of picky eaters, go there because everyone will be able to find something that they like. The last day we just did a rooftop bus tour because the first time that we were in London, my aunt, uncle, and cousin were not with us yet. So they wanted to go around and see all the sights, the castles and all that, the London Bridge, Tower Bridge, Big Ben, all of those things. So we did a little hop on, hop off bus tour, and then it has the seats. It's the most touristy thing that you can do. It has the seats on the top of the bus, and you just kind of look around. You can get off wherever you want and get back on wherever you want, and it just runs all day. So we did that and kind of did whatever we wanted to do, got off where we wanted to get off. One place that we didn't make it to that we would have liked to was the Sky Garden. I'm pretty sure it's on top of a hotel, but the first time that we tried to go, it was closed for some sort of renovation type thing. And then the second time you had to have a ticket. The tickets are free, but you just have to go online and reserve, I guess, a spot because a lot of people like to go. But it's on the top of this massive building, and it overlooks where Tower Bridge is and all of that stuff, so you can see the water as well. So that is my list of recommendations. I'm sure I forgot some stuff, but if you have any specific questions, please comment or reach out, and I will try and help you out if I have the knowledge on what you're asking about. So to wrap up, I will ask some questions that y'all asked. I wanted to do this while we were on our trip, but the night that we had planned on doing it, it was raining, and we had the perfect setup outside at our last house that we stayed in, which was beautiful. And it was raining, so we couldn't do it outside. Inside was going to be too hectic. So we had 10 people staying in a house. And then the last few nights, my sister and her husband had left, and I wanted them to be a part of it. And my mom got a little sick towards the end. She had a bad cough and was super congested. And I was like, I don't want to make her do this. So I wasn't able to do that. But I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that y'all had asked for my family. And then hopefully sometime in the near future, I can bring them on and we can have a rerun at what was supposed to happen while we were in Europe. But question number 1, what is Matt like on vacation? Matt is my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, and he's the best. He was so fun on vacation, and my little cousin Finley loved him. He's so thoughtful. He's so kind. He's so generous, has a good attitude, is ready to go. He goes with the flow. He's excited about whatever we're doing, no matter what it is. And he's just the best. I need to get my mom to answer this question because I think she would have some good things to say. But Matt was awesome on vacation. What's next? My favorite part of the trip, favorite experience in the UK. I kind of just went through all of that. But I think Notting Hill was my favorite town that we visited. And Tommy, our bus driver, tour guide, was my favorite person that I met. Appears that your drink has paper straws. This was when I was asking for questions on Instagram. I posted a picture of my drink at the little bar we were at in one of the villages in this is in London. Do you like using paper straws? No. I veto paper cups, paper straws, anything. It disintegrates. It literally starts to get like floppy in your cup. It's disgusting. And I'm sorry to the environment, but I hate paper straws, and I hate when that's restaurants' only options. I just won't use a straw if it's a paper straw because it just tastes nasty. It literally falls apart in your mouth. So no. Who's the favorite child? My sister, Aran. My parents would say, if I asked this question, if they were sitting right here and right here, my parents would say, we love you all equally, as parents do. My sister was definitely the easiest to deal with growing up. She never got in trouble. She's never once been grounded. in her entire life, which is honestly an accomplishment. I tried to like get her in trouble up until she literally got married, because I was like, you just need to experience being grounded or being in trouble just once, but it never happened. So she was definitely I'll answer that for my parents. I don't know, favorite, they'll say all of us. Easiest to raise, my sister. She's perfect. And I'll admit that. I got into my fair share of trouble. I pitched my fair share of fits growing up. And I wasn't always the easiest to deal with. And I'll admit that. But Aran, she is the model child for all children, all adults. And I should probably try and be a little bit more like her. I am at her house, so hopefully she'll rub off on me a little. But that's going to do it for today. Again, if you have any more questions, please ask, and I will try my best to assist. I'm sorry that I missed last week, but I was out on vacation. I was trying to disconnect from social media and the internet a little bit, because that is what I do all day, every day. So I went incognito, kind of, for 2 weeks, but I'm back. And go ahead and start submitting your questions for next week's episode. But until next time, cheers. I'm drinking water because I just went on basically a 2-week bender in Europe. So I'm getting back on track. So cheers to all of you. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe. As always, tell your friends. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Ask any questions you have. And I will see all of you next week.